All right, welcome back, audience members. My name is Kenneth Ellington, and on deck for today for our AMA session, we have Paul Stout, Gladys, and then MarKesisha. So I'm very appreciative for you guys all joining me today. This is our last session of the year before we close out. I'm giving everyone the last 3 holidays off or 3 weeks off, because it's Christmas and New Year's time. This is the last session we'll be doing, and then starting in January, we'll be doing these again bi-weekly. And Paul will be our new co-host with me and Nigel.
Thank you.
So for today's agenda, how we're going to start off is we'll cover some various talking points. One of them being what's been happening on LinkedIn, how to actually brand and market yourself on LinkedIn, how to talk to hiring managers, et cetera, et cetera. And then towards the end, we'll give the audience around 15 minutes to ask any questions they may have. But if you have questions now, please drop them into the chat so we're able to answer them as best as we can. So I'll start off with you, MarKesisha. I know we talked about this over the past 3 months, but and as you as well, Paul. But I've been seeing a lot more in negativity on the platform and just communication with different people. What have you guys been saying?
The same. Yeah. I mean, I think that we're at a point right now in our economy where people are very frustrated, especially when we're talking about the job market overall, right? A lot of companies are saying that they're hiring, but they may actually not be hiring. And so I think just overall, with what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the job market, people are just frustrated and they're bringing that frustration onto the platform. I mean, every day I'm seeing posts about people, mentioning how the job search sucks, how they've been interviewing and they've been ghosted and recruiters are trashed and all of that stuff. And so with all of that negativity, of course, then you have the people commenting as well, and they're, projecting everything that they've experienced that's been negative. They're projecting it onto other people.
I agree. And then for you, Paul, I know we talked about this as well Wednesday night.
Yeah, we did. You had congratulated one of your students for a pretty successful job offer, and someone just, came out of nowhere and something to the effect of, "Good job. I hope you don't lose in 6 months." And you mentioned I'm not laughing about that. I'm laughing about what you said about it. You said, "Who hurt you?" And to MarKesisha's point, it is. I feel like it is an accumulation of frustration with this. For many, many years, AI is also, I'm going to bring AI into it. AI has also been part of the hiring process, but I feel like that's becoming more and more of a first line, first defense screening on that. And a lot of times people don't know if a human being is even looking at the resume, if they're even passing that first cut. For many, many years, a trend in recruiting has been you fire off 100 resumes and maybe get one or two answers off of that. So it's already frustrating, especially for those who take the time to tailor their resume to a job, take the time to actually craft a meaningful job application, to just hear absolute silence. And so we start coupling that with the fact that we've seen a number of round of layoffs come across. And yeah, I feel like it's just frustration and not being directed in a positive way.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I'll actually screen share the actual post that I did with the comments so everyone can see. But you'll be up last, Gladys. What has your perspective been? Have you been noticing that as well, that trend?
Well, yeah, in my opinion, I feel like most of this is coming from personal experiences. So I don't really bother about them. As long as we are out here to help people. And if you know that you're really helping people and you have a good heart, you're doing it with a good will. Honestly, those type of comments, I just think, well, it's personal. They have probably gone through something similar in the past, or a friend or someone close to them has gone through that, and they just think it's happening to everyone, but it's probably not the case. But honestly, it needs to change. This needs to change. People need to be positive more than ever, because when you're positive, positive things come to you, and that's one thing that people ignore. And I think one thing that they ignore is also that recruiters are looking at your LinkedIn profile. People are looking, not just recruiters, but everyone is saying, even your comments on LinkedIn, people can see them. And when you are that negative, like, how do you think you're ever gonna get a job? So I feel like, yeah, I have seen an increase in it, but definitely something that needs to change and something that should never disrupt people who are trying to help other people.
You're on mute again.
Okay, try this again. So yeah, I agree with you, Gladys. I was always raised, you never understand what someone's going through in their personal life, so don't be overly negative. You don't know what they're going through. So when I saw that comment, I'm like, why'd you put that? I'm like, this seems extremely unnecessary. Like, that person, I've never met with them, I never talked with them, so I don't feel the need for you to kind of like crap over my student who you don't know and have never met before. So let me actually show you what this person said. There it is.
And if the person happens to be on this live, please say hello.
So one of my students this week got another job offer. This is the second one they've gotten this year. So we helped them basically double their salary within a 12-month period, which is really amazing and kind of crazy. So I post about that. I kept their name out of it until they feel comfortable sharing with that. And everyone was positive, except like one person. And this guy, Ivory Johnson. He put, hopefully she won't get laid off after 6 months. I'm not trying to be a hater. But I saw that, I'm like, you are trying to be a hater, though. Like,
if you have to say it,
yeah,
you most likely are a hater.
It's like when someone says, no disrespect, and like the disrespect comes. That's the way I felt when I saw this. So I just thought it was like really unnecessary. And then I told you, Markesisha, and Markesisha commented on it. He put this. Is this been your experience? And he said, no, it's just mine without. So I'm like, okay, but I'm like, why are you trying to put that bad energy on my student? Again, you don't know who they are. Like, it feels really necessary. And it's just like, I don't really understand why are you trying to rain someone parade like this. I'm going to make an educated guess. This person have struggled to get hired or land other roles because of this attitude. I'm positive he carries his energy over into other things.
And just going back to what Gladys had mentioned, with the more negativity you're putting out there on a platform like LinkedIn, where it's pretty much a career. It's a career platform. Yes, it's social media, but it's a career platform. These companies are going to your page and they're reading through your comments and your posts. Like, don't think that they're not. And so you're going to blacklist yourself when you come onto the platform being negative. Like, it's okay to share your experience. I think it's fine if you want to make a post about your frustration, but just don't leave it at your frustration. Always come back with a positive, right? So whenever I'm posting, I'm keeping it like I'm keeping it real all the time. So I'm saying, yes, the job market is hard. Yes, it's tough. I'm interviewing myself because I'm always trying to make sure I'm staying on top of my game, right? I need to know who my competition is and what I need to be learning, but I'm always ending with, but we have to keep going. We have to keep trying. So you have to be very, very careful with what you're putting out there, because it can definitely make or break your career. And as we always mention in these lives, that's part of your overall branding, is what you're putting on the internet, on LinkedIn, especially being that it is a career platform.
Yep. Definitely. Yep. Yeah, I think we spent time on this, but yeah, it has to change. And but one thing is that people ignore that everyone has a negative side of them, right? No one's ever gonna be perfect in this life. Like, I myself, I see posts on LinkedIn every day that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, people have their opinions. And so if you don't agree with someone having a new job that's paying them six figures, like, just scroll past it. That's the best way to deal with this. Just don't comment. You don't have to comment. I'll just scroll past it and I'll just be like, okay, whatever.
as one that interviews and hires people, the very first thing I do when I get someone's resume is I go to their LinkedIn. That's the first thing I do. Start going back through, looking at their job history. First of all, I'm trying to make sure it matches up to their resume, looking through any certifications they have, looking through any posts, any engagement they have. The second thing I do is go and verify their credentials, because a lot of people will lie about that on a resume too. But, I think, and I'm certainly not absolving people of responsibility for this, I have to say LinkedIn is not doing any favors by trying to make the platform appear more like other social media platforms. Very, very recently, I think within the last year and a half or so, we've had kind of the short form video format, akin to Instagram Reels, TikToks come on there. And I feel like with LinkedIn starting to behave and starting to feel more like other non-professional social media networks, it can be challenging sometimes to remember where you are and who's watching you.
I agree. It makes it harder for that. Just why I tell people, if you feel like a negative feeling about something, just ignore it. That's probably the best bet. You don't have to interact with everyone all the time. But try to make people understand that as human beings, we aren't designed to have access towards every single other human being on the planet, all their thoughts at 24/7. That's not natural towards us. So if you feel you disagree with someone, that's probably normal, because most times I wouldn't know what MarKesisha's thinking all the time, every single day, about every single opinion. So if I feel I don't agree with her on some talking points, that's probably a normal thing. It'd be very weird and very creepy if I agree with everything she ever said in her entire life. So keep that in mind when you're talking to people on social media. It's okay to disagree with someone. Just don't try to bash them. That doesn't help anybody out. That doesn't achieve anything. But for the audience, if anyone has had this happen towards them or anything negative on LinkedIn, please drop your comments and stories inside the chat so we're able to see and understand where you guys are coming from. I am very curious. I have a bigger presence than some other people, so I get a lot of negativity pretty often, but I'm curious to see what you guys see on a daily basis.
It's always interesting, Kenneth, when you say that you get so much negativity. Like, I wonder why people are like coming on your posts and like attacking you. Like, I think it's so disrespectful of people. Now, I think I'm almost at 6,000 followers, but what are you? You're like at 30,000 now?
I think 16K or something.
Okay, 16K. Okay.
I was about to say, I think it's a function of volume. I'm just now pushing 2,000, and I, at least in recent memory, can't remember really any negativity on my posts. But keep in mind that my LinkedIn, my network is by and large people who I've met before. Sure, it's starting to expand beyond that, but to Kenneth, you being near 16K, that's what, 8 times mine. One would expect you to have 8 times the negativity.
Well, I think for me at least, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm almost 25K followers on LinkedIn, but really I don't see a lot of negativity. I don't know if it's with respect to the point that you mentioned, Paul, that I'm very close to them too, because I'm very close to most of my followers, like they know me personally. That might be why. But I would say I have gotten some negative stuff inside of my DMs. And that's why I'm like, well, I don't even care. If you DM me something negative, like, who cares? I'm just going to pass it, that's all. Yeah.
I guess for me, it's always been funny. So the people I try to help out the most sometimes get the most negative energy. I'm like, you do realize I'm like, I don't have to do this at all. Like, I'll be fine if I don't help you. I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude or mean, but that's just the reality of it, right? So understand that I don't have to be here. I don't have to do all this work. It's this Saturday. I can be sleeping right now. So you like trying to bash me and get angry at me because you don't agree with what I said, even though you came to me to ask me for help, which I think is interesting. Doesn't help anybody out or help you reach your goals further. So just always keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're getting a lot of questions in the chat. So do we want to go there or?
Yeah, we can. Let me see. Let me stop sharing really quickly. Let me see. We'll go from Gabriel. What cybersecurity domains, cloud security, threat intelligence, GRC, AI governance are likely to grow the fastest in 2026? MarKesisha, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, sure. I love this question because I actually recently wrote a document on it. And it was talking a lot about AI, of course, threat intelligence for sure. We are starting to see more automation in that department when it comes to, you know, different types of AI platforms and solutions that can help with that. And then also, you know, GRC, AI governance is my lane. I'm very passionate about AI governance specifically. That will be something in 2026, if I'm not mistaken. The Trump administration did mention that there will be a new AI regulation that is coming about, and it will be one that everybody has to stick to. So that's exciting because there's just been, you know, a few frameworks here and there, but nothing that has been solidified and, you know, for sure. And so with the AI governance, we're now going to start seeing an uptick in organizations starting to hire for roles in GRC, and not just for roles that are, you know, security or software engineering or development types of roles, right? So we're going to see an uptick in that. In terms of threat intelligence, just to go back to that one, with the automation, I will say, and I've been seeing this a lot this year in 2025, is where, you know, some of the roles that a lot of people had focused on prior, like SOC analysts, for example, like a way for you to transition easier into cybersecurity. I have been hearing a lot of people talking about AI taking over those roles. I will say I'm not seeing, like, I see SOC analyst roles being put out there, but in terms of like level ones, you know, the AI may take over some of those responsibilities. I'm not saying it'll take over your role. I'm just saying it may take over some of those responsibilities. So you definitely probably should be shifting into a direction where, you know, AI can enhance the role that you're in and not necessarily completely get rid of it. And I also want to add, because there's always been this conversation of, okay, so AI is taking over my job. I'll be honest, a lot of companies don't understand. Well, let me actually back this up. It's not just the companies. A lot of people don't understand AI, right? But when it comes to the companies who are hiring people like the ones on this call, people that's in the chat, we have to understand how they're thinking as businesses. And when they're in when they're in the meetings with their investors and their board of directors, those individuals are pushing heavy for them to develop AI products or for them to use AI solutions. And so for them, they're thinking always in money terms, right? So is it going to save the company money? And if it is, let's onboard it and let's cut people's roles. It is not the right thing, but because people don't understand how AI works, I do see in 2026, 2027, where there will be more hiring, because when these regulations come about, they're going to realize, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have gotten rid of the entire department. I need to hire them back. I do think that that's the trend that we're moving towards in the new year.
Muted again.
I hate myself so much. Paul or Glass, do you have anything to add towards that?
Say that again. Is that for me?
Either you, Paul. Actually, Glass, you go first.
Oh, okay. So I completely agree with what you said. What we are seeing as cybersecurity professionals right now in our own organization and in our colleagues and all that, what we see is obviously an uptick in people using AI tools, right? And so that comes with security improving as well. So if your users are using a lot of AI, then you have to come up with some type of solutions to figure out how to protect them. That's what's going on. And the problem is there's not a lot of knowledge right now in the AI security space. So even the AI security architect, they're still figuring things out. And so I think in 2026, in my opinion, AI security is still not going to be big. I think there's still going to be a lot of research to go on and all that in the year of 2026. So people should not be scared of losing their jobs at this time, especially people who are learning some type of AI. I think if you're learning AI at the same time you're learning your cybersecurity stuff, you are going to get hired, you are going to stay in your job. But if you are not understanding anything, you don't even understand what AI is, you don't even understand what quantum computing is, like you have no idea about how prompting even works, then those are the type of people where it will be easier to let them go in 2026, because that's what most recruiters are going to be looking for. I research jobs every single week. So what I'm seeing right now is more and more recruiters asking for some type of AI knowledge in their job descriptions. So that's why I started telling my students, I started telling them, hey, learn some type of AI, because in 2026, we're going to see more of that. And if you're currently trying to get into cybersecurity, you should try to do that as fast as you can, because in the upcoming years, there's going to be more of AI security requirement inside of the job descriptions. So the faster you get in, the better for you. And yeah, I think that's what's going to happen in 2026. Again, a lot of research is not going to be too much like people expect, and there's going to be a lot of hiring as well.
I think it's important to consider as well that with the proliferation of AI, particularly as we start to actually continue this transformation from generative AI to agentic AI, that is going to drive opportunity in cloud and application security. It's by and large my experience with AI. AI can really only generate or reason on what it's already seen, what it's known. And the more that AI agents are consuming web applications, web resources, API, the more that we're going to find new exploits that have never been seen before. And by and large, that requires a bit of a senior level, detection engineer. I do agree with you, Gladys, that we're going to start to see fewer and fewer openings at those entry level positions as more and more agentic AI is deployed. I don't necessarily think that we're right there for 2026 yet, because to both of y'all's points, people don't fully understand AI right now. A lot of companies still have policies against using AI, or at least using it for mission critical applications, simply because they're concerned about internal data getting out there. But we will see that start to change, which actually creates a very, very interesting chicken and egg scenario. Is if you completely automate the entry level, the senior level will eventually move up and move out. So what's going to replace that? And can we count or can we expect AI to get to the point where it can start to replace those more senior level positions? Or to my earlier point, can we count on AI to be able to start to anticipate scenarios that it's never seen before? And I think that that's starting to get more toward AGI type questions. And to my knowledge, we're not quite there yet. So really interesting, but there's certainly going to be work, at least in the near to midterm, in terms of securing those web applications that are used to power those agentic AI implementations.
I agree. That's a lot of questions. Let's see. I think Yoshi put, what happens when you apply and receive no response? Will we continue with another applicant? Why not explain the reason for not considering you? So part of that is volume and then legal reasons for why they won't give you a proper response. I'll start with the volume piece. So for a lot of positions, I used to work with a company, and my director told me that they had like a junior system admin position. He said he got 2,000 people to apply towards it within like 3 days. They literally don't have the time to respond towards everyone that applied towards it, and so they only take like internal referrals or internal candidates for that. That's part of the reason why you may not get a proper response, because they literally don't have the time to review your resume, which is a numbers game. Other part might be legal things, because if they give you a reason, you feel that reason violates your rights or it's too offensive, you can try to sue them should they want that happen. They'll sometimes give you a very generic response as to why you didn't do well in the interview. Normally, if you get towards the final round, they'll normally give you more actionable feedback on the things you can do, but you're still in the first round or interview screen, it might be generic from my experience. MarKesisha, I'll let you go first.
I mean, when I put a post out there for if I'm hiring for Sire, like I receive sometimes 200, 500 applications, and a lot of them are from people that don't even like, they're not even like US citizens, for example. And so unfortunately the AI is not being able to sift that out, unfortunately. So I have to go through it myself. But how it looks on the back end on LinkedIn is you have rejection pile, and then you kind of have like a middle pile where the AI just couldn't figure it out. And then you have the like approval. I can't think of the exact names right off the top of my head right now, but if I'm receiving like 500 applications, I'm most likely not going to look in the rejection or the maybe pile first. I'm looking in the approved pile, right? Like the yes pile. And that alone already has like 300 applications. So it's a lot to get through that. So expecting a response from every single job application you applied to, I don't think that that's necessarily realistic. In a perfect world, yes, it would be great. But even when I have to go and press a button to reject you, it's about like a 2 or 3 step process for me. So for me, I'm like, let me just, move on from them. Also, I've spoken with LinkedIn on the back end because I've done some research with them, some research studies with them. The platform is a little wonky and messed up. I mean, and again, I know we're not just talking about LinkedIn here, but if we're talking about LinkedIn here, even when I try to reject a candidate, it doesn't just send me back to where I was. It makes me start all the way over from like the bottom. So that's irritating, right? So at some point, recruiters are just tired, right? They don't want to deal with it. So whoever gets their resume in first, it's great for them. That's why it's really important to apply immediately as soon as you see the job opening, because you want to get in the rush of like the first 50 people. And that's not just in LinkedIn, that's any single company's website that you're applying to. So you're most likely going to continue to, and it's going to be a hit or miss. You may get responses, and that's great. And like Kenneth says, sometimes you can reach out and say, hey, like, what's going on with my application? What did you think of me? Also, this is why it's really important to network and to get a referral into a job instead of just, cold applying, because when you know somebody and you've actually spoken to somebody, your chances are better. You're able to communicate with somebody. So those are also some helpful tips too.
And then Paul, I'll let you go since you actually are a CTO. So you probably deal with this on a regular basis.
All of those points that MarKesisha mentioned are extremely valid. I've certainly posted openings on LinkedIn before, and within 30 minutes had more than 100 resume. To your point, we weren't going to sponsor H-1B visas for this position, so a requirement was U.S. citizen onshore. And even those that made the filter, some of them still didn't meet that requirement, and it's just ridiculous. That's actually interesting insight that you shared about how LinkedIn worked on the back end, because now my frustration feels a little bit validated. I'm like, okay, I wasn't just doing it wrong.
Yeah.
There's something wonky with the tool, to use your term. I find, Kenneth, you mentioned networking, and that's really where it's at. If you spray and pray, to use a military term, resumes to 1,000 different companies, applying to a company that, of course, you know of, but you've never you don't know anyone at, is kind of like having this having this attachment to this influencer who you just slide into their DMs from time to time. They're not going to know who you are through their 20, 30 million followers. So it's important to network. It's important to know someone within that company, even if they're not necessarily within that department that is hiring for it. If you, like, I know people in HR, I know people in marketing, I know people in sales at different companies. And if I were to be looking and I saw a position on that, the first thing I do, to MarKesisha's point, is get my resume in there as fast as I can. That way I'm as close to the top of that pile as I can. The second thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna reach out to my friend, invite him for coffee, and ask if they could contact the hiring manager. That is going to be your absolutely best bet. I've also seen the experience that I would say at least half of jobs that are posted publicly, it's just a formality. They're usually hiring someone internally. They already know who they want to fill it, or they've hired someone on a referral, and they're posting it out there because for legal reasons, they have to make that job available for a certain amount of time. My own position at a large hospital was actually done that way. The job posting was just for formality. I was already hired before it was even posted. So always network. If you're going to, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with blindly applying to opportunities, but expect it to be an impersonal process. Don't take it personally, and don't let it get you down.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. I guess what I am going to say to this is, in my opinion, I deal with a lot of entry level folks, right? So here's what I see. Most of the people who want a response, who want feedback on their application, honestly, don't even qualify for the role in the first place. That's the origin of the problem. Here's how I know. I've hired multiple times as well. And one time I did a trick, actually twice. The first time, what I did is I put a post on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I'm hiring for this position. If you have some type of cybersecurity knowledge and you fulfill the other conditions, let me know with your comment below with your qualifications or how you qualify. And then inside of the post, I said, do not DM me. If you DM me, you're auto disqualified. Guess what happened? Like 50% of the people DM me and said, hey, I'm interested in the role. One. Like, what? You know, that's auto disqualified. What you talking about? I just said in the post, do not DM me. That's simple instruction. It's not even about the role. It's simply follow instruction. You did not follow the instruction. So how do you expect me to even give you feedback? And that's not just me. It happens a lot. The second time, what I did is I put a phrase inside of the job description. I posted the job description and I put a phrase inside of it. I said, if you're reaching back to me on this role, make sure you include the word this in your application, right? I put a weird word. Guess what happened? Again, like 75% of people did not even include that word. This means, first of all, you don't have attention to details. You see a job, you don't read through it, and then boom, you're throwing the resume in. It's not gonna happen. How do you expect me to give you feedback? Like you don't follow instructions. Take your time, read the job description, make sure you qualify for it. Sometimes the details are in the job description. And if you don't follow that one thing, you're auto rejected, which means the recruiter doesn't even get to see your resume. Like literally auto reject. So how do you expect a response? So that's why I'm saying most people who expect a response, they are not qualified in the first place. They are just taking their resume and throwing in there. That's not how you apply for jobs. You got to spend time on tuning your resume. If a job is asking, the biggest example I take with my students is like, if you're applying for these jobs, for example, this job description is saying we need someone who has Splunk experience or who has used Splunk before, as an example. On your resume, you don't have Splunk, but what you have is SIM. We all know Splunk is the same solution. However, you don't have the word Splunk, you have SIM. That's two different things. Like you're gonna be auto rejected because the ATS, that's what the ATS is there for. The ATS does not understand that Splunk is SIM. Literally, you're gone. So spend time on your resume instead of spending time waiting for expecting for people to give you feedback. It's not gonna happen. The best time you can have feedback is if you've maybe moved to the last interview, maybe they're down to 2 or 3 candidates. Then at that point, I think the team is more than happy to provide you feedback. Hey, here's why we're moving with someone else because in the interview you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Next time, do it. That's the best way. But the thousands of people applying, you are not gonna get feedback. So I would say spend more time on your applications than ever, rather than waiting for feedback. You're not gonna get that.
I want to highlight something that you said there, Gladys, and that is that a lot of people don't read and follow the simple instructions. And that's been my experience as well, actually across the board, not just with recruiting. Reading things is a superpower. Reading the job application is a superpower. Reading the user manual for your software is a superpower. I get it. It's boring. It's dry. It's faster to just skim it. But that automatically puts you ahead 50 to 75% of the people out there is actually understanding what you're working on and not being either, I don't know if it's arrogance, laziness, or if it's just trying to be efficient. In the end, it actually makes you less efficient. It makes you less effective because now you're not armed with the critical knowledge that you need. And I would apply that to everything in life.
Yeah, I agree. A lot. As me and MarKesisha did staffing earlier this year, most of the applicants did not read the instructions properly at all.
People are so desperate, so like you can't, like, I understand, like, when you've been out of a job for 6 months, 8 months, almost a year, but you know, you have to have a strategy in everything in life. You can't just approach life and be like, I'm just going to throw myself at it, you know, because whatever happens does happen. But if you actually have a plan and you have a strategy in place, I will promise you, you will always come out ahead. It will always work out for you. You will also not feel so down and out all the time, be filled with negativity. Like those people, they don't have a strategy. So like everybody has said, make sure you put something in place. Like reading is fundamental. Nowadays we're seeing, especially with these newer generations, they don't want to read. They can't even watch a video for longer than 15 seconds. You know, like good luck, right? Because the world doesn't revolve around you. You have to read, right? You have to read if you want to be intelligent, if you want to sit at tables with people who are in leadership. You have to read, you have to write, you have to do the work that other people are not doing because they're simply lazy. Just don't fall in that category of laziness. And I can assure you that you will get so much further in life.
I feel like we're all sounding like we're old people. Like, learn how to read and write, kids. Come on now.
We're educators. That's
Yeah.
what we are, you know, like we know it and we're in our roles for a reason.
So I'll pause for a second. I'm gonna do my annual plug for whatever product I'm trying to do. And I'm not ashamed of it. This is my company. So we opened up a new cyber range. It's called ECA Cyber Range. Paul is a part of it. Both Pauls are actually a part of it. So what that is I've been getting asked a lot more often about how to get inside cybersecurity, but I still want to access your resources, Kenneth, but your other training program, it's too expensive or it takes too long. So what we did is we created a cyber range where you could get on-demand access towards all of our materials. So threat hunting, threat intelligence, Nigel's going to be leading that for the threat intelligence class. We also have financial classes as well. So how to save, how to invest. Because honestly, a lot of you guys are very bad with money from what I've seen and what I've heard. So we're trying to fix that as well, just being completely honest. That and career sections as well. So like this, but much more tailored towards our actual members. So you must just like ahead of time, they will actually go through your profile live and walk through you step by step on how to actually fix it. Then we also going to be having challenges because we're vendors with Splunk, Elastic, and SentinelOne. So we have licenses for that as well for you guys to use. So we'll be covering that and how to use them and how to get hands-on skills with it. So that is what we'll be doing for the cyber range. The beta price is $79 right now. It'll be going towards $97 starting in February or so. And our Splunk challenge starts in about 8 days. And the onboarding for the rest of everyone starts in 2 days. If you have questions about it, please do let me know. But I dropped the link inside of the chat, so you guys do have it. So you see me post about it, that's what I've been posting about. Anyways, I hate selling, but I have to do it to feed my family. So now we're going to move on towards the latter part. So we'll be answering questions. So any questions you guys have, please let me know. I didn't expect there to be this many questions, so I'll kind of pivot and change that a little bit. Questions you should be asking to kind of help guide you on the right path. I would say list like the challenges you've been having in the job market and some of the things you want to try to fix for yourselves in that regard, and we can help out with that. Probably the best use of time. So I know, let me see, we got a lot of them. Next one will be from Nigel. If I had to learn one platform immediately, Splunk, Defender, Cribble, etc., which would help me the most? I know Paul will probably say Splunk or Cribble, because in the areas he worked, that is the most popular ones. I would honestly say look at what sector you want to work in: finance, retail, infrastructure, government, and look at the platforms that are normally used for it. There's normally a trend for it. So if you work in like the government space or financial space, a lot of times it's either going to be Splunk or Elastic 9 times out of 10. That's what most of them use. If you work more in a startup scene that might use a different SIM platform, might be Sentinel. It might be Logstash. What is it? Paul, what is the CrowdStrike one? Was it
Next Gen SIM?
Yeah.
They used to call it Logarithm, but it's now rebranded Next Gen SIM.
Yeah, Next Gen SIM, because security firms have a very bad name and stuff. That, or you might want to use Panther or something like that. Right, just depends on what firm you're trying to go inside of. So just base it off of that. So also understand like where do you want to live? Remember, Marquisha probably get people that oftentimes say, Marquisha, I want to be a cybersecurity engineer. You're like, all right, cool. Like, well, where do you live? I live in Kansas. Like, oh, well, there's not a lot of jobs here. You might have to move. I don't want to move. Like, oh, well, I'm like, it's going to be hard for you to get a job. It's the reality of it. If my goal is to be the best, like longshore fisherman, and I live in Wyoming, it's probably not going to happen. That's just the reality of it. So I cannot move, which again, that is your ultimate choice. You just will have a harder time finding the job that you want a job. So that's just understand that. Like, don't yell or complain about it. That's just the reality of it. You have to deal with what is happening. If you want to change it, get enough power and resources in order to change it. But if you don't, you have to do that. That's just how it's been. Those are my 2 cents. MarKesisha?
Yeah, I think that you hit you touched on some great points, and just to add a little bit more to that too, like you said, go look at the industry that you want to work in, look at the position that you want to be in, and then maybe look at 10 different job descriptions and look at the tools that are listed. That's probably what you should be focused on immediately. And just like Kenneth said, in a startup, they may not have something like Splunk. I mean, Splunk is expensive. We've all heard that, right? So they're going to go to something that is least expensive for them. But I think the best advice I can give you is look up the 10 different job descriptions, 10, 15, and then see what platform comes up a lot. And that's the one that you should be focusing on.
Paul?
So Kenneth Pat joked that I was probably going to say Splunk or Cribble because that's my background, and he wasn't wrong. But let me explain the context of that before I actually make a recommendation on that. I started working for Splunk in 2010, so I've been working with that platform for a very, very long time. I've been working with Cribble since about 2019, and lately a lot of my focus has been more on Cribble than Splunk. So this is not a plug for either of those companies. The fact that Cribble connects to multiple different destinations gives me visibility as to what people are using. And more importantly, I think what they're moving from and to. Now, I'm not going to necessarily share any of that on here, but what I can say is if I had to make a recommendation, the question as it was asked is if I had to learn one platform immediately, what do you need to learn it for? If you need to get your butt in a chair and get a job right now, then I'm going to say Splunk. It's by far still the most widely used system of analysis because, and it was mentioned earlier that Splunk is a SIM. Splunk is also a lot of other analytics things. It's a dashboarding solution. It's an alerting solution. It is an observability solution. And again, I'm not trying to sell it. That's why I said, if you need a job right now, if you need to get money on the table, go with Splunk. But I'm going to say, if you want to play the long game and see where it's going to be hot in 3 years, Cribble's the place to be.
Gladys?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, this is an easy question. Splunk, definitely. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking to get into cybersecurity, Splunk is the goal, is the most popular right now, at least. So you don't want to go anything else. And also keep in mind, guys, that when companies are hiring, they are not necessarily looking for specific tools. I mean, it's good to learn them, but more so they are looking for, do you have something to offer, right? They may be using Cribble at the moment, but if they see that you have experience with Splunk, you have done a major project on Splunk yourself, it still makes sense to hire you. So you don't have to understand the specific tool itself. It's more so, can you deal with the same tool? Not necessarily Splunk, right? It's more so, what's your approach with the same tool? So in the interview, they could ask you something like, well, if you receive an alert on this, how do you investigate it inside of Splunk? Even though they are not using Splunk, they want to see what you're thinking on that. How do you usually go by it? It's more about how do you think than anything else. So tools matter, but it's more about how are you using them and how are you able to prove yourself in the interview. How are you able to learn? Because they want to know, well, you learn Splunk, like they're pretty similar things. You'll be able to learn Cribble. It's the same thing. It's the same like using CrowdStrike and someone who wants to use Defender. It's all the same. It does the same thing. It's just about learning the platform. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to echo that, and maybe I came off a little too strongly with the Splunk and Cribble thing. Knowing the principles of what you're doing is far more important than knowing a tool. And with any SIM or system analysis, you kind of have two domains: getting data in and getting data out. That's really what they do. The data comes out in the forms of reports, dashboards, alerts, threat indicators, whatnot. The data comes in as a feed off of whatever the source system is. So if you understand at a fundamental level how to get data into a complex analysis system, and then you understand the principles of writing time series queries, getting more and more prevalent, even going back to like SQL type queries, writing analytics queries, and you understand the principles of presenting data in a way that's consumable by the audience, to Gladys's point, that's far more important than knowing whatever the hot new tool of the year is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's why we always teach the core foundational principles in our classes. And then you can learn whatever Sims or XDR platform that you want to learn. They all function work the same. They're just slightly different. That's about it. The vendors don't
Yeah,
want you to know that, but that's really
yeah,
how it
yeah.
is.
And I'm saying this because I've seen this happen a lot with my students in the past. So they'll come in, we have the training course, maybe you have a course on Splunk, and what they try to do is go through the course by learning the buttons rather than learning the how the tool functions. It's not, well, okay, you have the logs. How do you create a dashboard for your daily basis analysis, for example? And they are more focused on, okay, where inside of Splunk, here's where the dashboard is located, here's where I need to click. Like, that's not it. That's not it. What it is what does Splunk do? How do you get those logs there? How are you able to explain to someone who is not in the security department? Because that's going to be your role. You're
Mhm.
going to be able to explain, well, what I saw on the analysis. Here's what I see in the logs. Here's where the IP address coming from. Here's what the attacker tried to do. This and that. You're going to explain that in layman terms. So it's not about the tool, but it's more about how the incident happened and how can you explain basically what you're saying than anything.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about application. When I do interviews, one of the things, as you move up as more senior, they want to know how you can walk them through something, right? So more in layman's terms, we have this situation. Walk me through how you would solve that. And it's less about like what Gladys said. Oh, the button's located here, and this is what the dashboard looks like. They want to make sure that you're able to apply what you know to the problem to solve it. And that's with everything. So as long as you can come with your problem solving skills, your analytical skills, you're good.
Yeah, also the fundamentals. Next up is Swift.
So many questions. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
saying, what should a 2006 ready cybersecurity profile absolutely include? I mean, I would ask, what role do you want specifically? But that can vary based off of the type of sector you want to work in cybersecurity. Do you want to do application security? You want to do AI security? Do you want to do SIM? Do you want to do SOAR? You want to do threat intelligence? You want to do threat hunting? You want to do endpoint detection and response? All right, you can be a SIM engineer. I would ask you, what exactly do you want to learn, and where are you currently at in your learning journey? To go off of that. Because if you're like a leader principal, the materials will give you will be a lot different if you're a beginner. So that's a question I would ask you.
Yeah, I agree. And this is why I tell people, like, before you even start working on project, and of course it's the biggest mistake in this industry people make. They just say, well, I'm done with certification, or I don't even have a certification, and then they jump into try hack me, or they jump into hack the box and start doing labs here and there. And I'm like, what you doing? One of the first things you need to do before you jump into any labs, into any tools, is choosing what you want to do. Don't jump into doing everything because no one's going to hire you with everything. You don't have time to waste. So focus on the things that matter. You need to determine what in cybersecurity do you want to do. That determines how your portfolio is going to look like. You don't want to say, well, I want to become a SOC analyst, for example, and then you're over there working on pen testing labs. How? Your portfolio is like, well, I did this. I try to hack this box. I try to do Linux stuff. I'm like, how? You don't want to say, I want to get into GLC, and then instead your portfolio is all about things that you did with Splunk, things that you did with Microsoft, for example. That's not how it works. Your portfolio has to reflect your cybersecurity domain. So make sure you choose one before you even go into lab. So that question is very, very broad. It literally depends on what you want to do inside of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is too broad for us to even focus on one thing. Yeah.
Next question, Nigel. How technical do employers expect beginner to be during interviews? Paul, I'll let you answer this question.
It really varies based upon the role. When I'm interviewing a candidate, I very, very rarely dive in with hard-hitting questions. That being said, I've had interviews where I have given someone an interface and asked them to build something in front of me. So when you've been working with this technology long enough, you can start to sniff out the BS very, very early by just the way people answer questions, kind of the depth of the questions. And if I can get that sense, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. How technical do employers expect them to be? And I'm answering a different question, so I'll come back and answer that. The question I'm answering is, how technical will the interview get? And so back on my train of thought there, if I can sniff out that person knows what they're doing at the level that I'm asking them to do, I'll typically ask maybe one or two qualifying technical questions and then move on. If I get the sense that this person doesn't know what they're doing, well, that's when the lab comes out, and that's when I give them a login, and that's when I say, show me. So again, that answered the question, how technical do the interviews get? How technical do I expect beginners to be at the level that I'm hiring them for? I expect them to be able to do, maybe not, and again, foundationally. So maybe not necessarily with a specific tool, but again, the concepts of detection engineering, the concepts of data onboarding, the concepts of whatever they happen to be applying for, I would expect them to have those skills, even if they're not necessarily well practiced, knowing that they're a beginner.
That makes sense. MarKesisha?
I mean, I think it depends, right? There's a lot of companies that are having these crazy expectations for entry-level people. I mean, we've seen it where they want you to have 7 years of experience already, and you're saying it's an entry-level role. I think somebody asked about what does it mean? Like, what do you do when a company is asking you or asking for an entry-level role to have a CISSP? Like, these companies they don't know what they want. Like, they're kind of just shooting out and then hoping it hits the deer, but it goes past and, I don't know, hits a human being, right? Like, I don't know, they're just shooting in the dark. But, it's just, you have to, like, it's not just, it's more so like you have to understand how companies are thinking if you want to win in this market, right? It's not just about you. Like, yes, all of it is crazy what their expectations are, but it's really dependent on the person that's interviewing you. Just like Paul said, he wants you to be as technical as what he's expecting you to be technical as, right? So if the job description list a bunch of technicalities, that's what you need to come prepared to give, unfortunately. And I get it. It's entry level. Why do you need to know all of this stuff? Why do you need a CISSP? Just companies don't know. Recruiters don't know. They're just putting that on there. So you just have to be prepared by what's on the job description. That's how you're going to prepare yourself to do well in the interview.
Just to follow up on that, it's worth keeping in mind that most of the time that these job descriptions, are not written by someone technical. They're written by a manager. They're written by someone who barely understands the technology. And a lot of good advice that I've heard from my friends in the HR space is, if you feel like you meet 50% of the job requirements on there, apply. Because quite often, again, they don't know what they wanted. They're going off buzzwords that they've heard from their team. They're going off whatever the market is saying is hot at the time. And I've never gotten 100% of the requirements I've written on a JD, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are thinking. Like, they're like, oh my goodness, they're asking for all of these things, and they get scared of the interview. Am I going to be able to answer all these things? Like, what I tell my students is like, if you don't know something in the interview, like just come clean. You know, you don't have to try to fake things or whatever. That never works. Okay, just come clean and say, well, I haven't used this tool, but here's what I have used instead. Like give them an option. Just don't say no, right? Just don't. The interview to that question, even if you're applying for an entry level role, I can tell you the interview is gonna get as technical as it can be. Like MarKesisha said, it will depend on the job description. Okay. I've even seen in situations where the job description is very, very entry level. Recently, one of my students, one of my clients, she was like, she had an interview and the job description was extremely entry level. Like, we only need this, we don't need you to know everything type thing. And then when she got on the interview, it was crazy. Like the questions were like bam, 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 bam. She was like, what? You know? So expect anything. That's what I'm trying to say. She came back to me and she was like, Gladys, like, I can't. What was going on? So she almost left the call. That's how intense the interview can get. So just be ready for anything at this point because people are looking for the best candidate. And if you're not the best, they're not going to hire you. So just get ready. Whatever you can do on an interview, just don't come with nothing. Because if you have nothing, it's going to be, crazy. Because the interview that my client, she usually had, it was back to back questions. Like I myself, I was like, oh my goodness, they nailed you, girl. Back, the type of interview where it's like back to back
Yep.
questions, and you are entry level, and you don't even know what you're doing, and they keep asking you like management questions, like what are you gonna do if this happens, and this and that. And she was like so frustrated, but I said, hey, it's another experience. Interviews are great because it's all about learning. It's all educating you over time. So don't give up. Just keep going. And I think I saw someone in the comments mention that they were almost giving up on their hopes getting into cybersecurity. I think that was Yoshi, which I think she's one of the members in my school community. What I'll say to you, Yoshi, is please don't give up. I know you're in my community. Feel free to message me whatever concerns you have if you're trying to give up because this is not the time to give up. Cybersecurity has so much opportunity. Like I would never tell someone to give up in this career. Like it changed my life, and I'm sure it did for everyone on this stage right now. Like literally, we are living the dream life. We have changed our life. Like our children don't have nothing to worry about in the future. Like the futures are sure. Like we don't have to worry about any bills. Like I would tell you, just don't give up. Whatever you can do now to struggle and getting, learn as much as you can, and there is opportunity for everyone in this field. However, you have to put in the work. This is not a field for someone who is not ready to do anything. There's a lot of work to be done. So just put in your head. That's the biggest skill you need to get into cybersecurity, your mindset. If you have a good mindset of, well, this is going to be work. I'm trying to do this because of this. I want to save my family. I don't want to remain at McDonald's. I don't want to stay working for doing Uber all day. Then you're going to have to put in the work, and it's just for a short period of time. After that, you get to enjoy life like we are doing right now, working remote. You don't have to worry about anything, spend all the time you can with your family. Like it's so rewarding, and I just don't want anyone to give up, you know.
Yeah, if you don't want to put in the work, go into management.
Yeah, right.
Wait, Paul, does that mean that you don't do any work? You're a CTO.
Well, obviously, present company excluded.
I know.
Yeah, and I mean, you may not be doing the work in management, but the stress is there, right? The stress is up
That was
there.
100% a joke, y'all. I realized that
I
two of
know.
you, this is our first time meeting, so you haven't heard my
You're
sense of
good.
humor yet.
Actually, let me add my other thing. When I was giving my analogy, that was a joke too. It just came off
Sure.
the top of my dome. Please do not be out there shooting, all those things.
That was a little morbid, yes.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
watching too many movies out there.
So, all right, last question we'll take will be Gabriel's. What's the best way to reach out to our hiring managers without sounding generic or desperate? I'll let Paul, because you are technically a hiring manager. I'll let you go first.
So if you say that you don't want to sound desperate, you either have an irrational fear of it or you are desperate. And so the key is how to not, sound like that. As best as you can, try to put yourself in a mindset that doesn't matter if you get that job or not. I mean, sure, you may really want it. Sure, you may really need it. But the more that you dwell on that feeling and the more that you kind of internalize that, the more it's going to come out, whether you want it to or not. I would say put multiple irons in the fire, as they say. start chasing down multiple opportunities. Even if you really have your heart set on a single job, apply to 10. And that helps lessen the pressure of any of one of those jobs working out for you. And who knows, maybe you end up, a case in point, my current role right now, I'm field CTO for a Splunk and Cribble consulting company. When I applied for this job, the job description was, we need help doing Cribble. The job I'm in right now evolved during the interview. I came in expecting that I was going to be doing hands-on consulting with platforms and data onboarding. And as we started talking about things like my vision for professional services, subscription services, and kind of the productization of that, well, the people hiring me got excited about it. It's like, yeah, why don't you do that instead? So I ended up getting a completely different job for the same company from the one that I applied for. So put multiple things out there and do your homework before. Talking back to how reading is a superpower, so is visiting the company's website you're applying to before you actually send that application. That's also a superpower. So do some homework on it. See what the last major announcement that they had. If you're going to cold reach out to a hiring manager, lead with, hey, so-and-so, congratulations on whatever this big thing your company did. That's fantastic, and it matters because of this. I recently saw you had a role for it, and then go into your spiel on that. So make it about them first. People always like hearing about themselves, regardless of what they say. People love hearing their name. They love hearing about things they've done. And when I say people, or by extension, organizations as well. So that's how to not make it sound generic. And then I would say, to not make yourself sound desperate, spread that stress out over multiple applications so that no one single failure is catastrophic.
Yeah, I definitely definitely agree with that approach. I tell people all the time, never go to someone on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a job, or I applied for this job. Can you help me?" It sounds so desperate. Oh my goodness. Like, I know this because I used to do this before. Like, if you know my story, I'm one of the people who struggled to get into the industry. And when I say struggle, I mean struggled to get in. I I think I messaged more than 100 people on LinkedIn, and no one was listening to me. No one, because I was doing this thing, asking for a job, begging. Like, hey, I have all the tools. I've learned this and that. These are my certifications. Please, can you help me? I saw a job on your website. All these things, I have done them, and I heard from no one, literally. And I was doing this without knowing that I was making the mistake, right? And I still see a lot of people make this now. So I'm just out here to say, hey, if you're currently doing that, just stop. You're ruining everything. No one's gonna listen to you. So the approach that our colleagues shared here, I think it's the best way to go with that. Just come clean. Try to make it about them rather than about you. That's how you make connections. If you come to me and you talk about how great I am, how good of a coach I am, how my posts are amazing, like, choose one specific of my posts and tell me about, oh my goodness, how would I not love that? Like, anyone would love that, right? So make it about the person rather than you. I'll be like, oh my goodness, who's this person, And then more to that, I'm saying this, I have seen this happen with one person that I've helped in the past. That's actually how I met one of my clients, Christian, because he did this strategy of DMing me and then coming back into my comments section. You come back into the comment section and make this person see your name over and over again in the comment section. You see them engaging. Like, if you are a human, you're gonna consider this person no matter what. I'm just gonna get back to you and be like, yeah, I've seen what you're doing. Like, yes, I'm open to helping you. So just try to come clean and make it about the person rather than who you are. um and I've seen someone in the comments, Kenneth, asking about how to book coaching with me. If you don't mind, maybe this is the time telling them about my school community. If you guys didn't know, I also have a school community. But Kenneth and I, we do a little bit of it. We're a little different in what we do. So it depends on what you're looking to achieve in your career. For me, I am more of entry level. So if you're looking to switch careers into cybersecurity, you are in a career that you don't like right now, like, I will give you all of the playbook to get into cybersecurity, to get your first job. And how to book that call with me, it's through my school community. And I think you have the link to it, Kenneth. can drop it in the chat, please. So you can join my school community, and that's pretty much where I help people. I see a lot of my school community members in the comments here, but thank you guys for attending. They are all amazing. They keep me going with this, so I love them so much. And yeah, feel free to join my school community if you're looking to get into cybersecurity. That's literally the best way to get to me. It's called the Cyber Careers Community. That's the best place to start for if you're trying to get into cybersecurity.
Just dropped it into the chat.
Thank you.
But so we'll close out. I know Gladys put where you can find her. MarKesisha, where can we find you?
Yep, I put it in the chat as well. So if you want to book a free consultation with me, you can do so at www.xire.io/discovery. And then you can also find me at xire.io as well. I am a career coach. I'm in the cybersecurity space. I do security architecture work, and I work a lot with AI governance and building up governance programs. So very, very passionate about that. So if you have questions, I am all ears, but I also do help people outside of the tech and cybersecurity space. So if you are looking to bounce ideas off of someone about, your current role or kind of like any issues that you're having and not knowing how to navigate the market or navigate your current employer, I can also assist with that.
Awesome. And then for you, Paul?
So I don't have nearly as established communities as the other two have to find me. So I'm just going to go old school and say that you can find me on LinkedIn. I would ask that if you send me a connection request, just mention that you saw me on this AMA. So I don't think you're trying to sell me $8 development resources across the full stack. And please be warned that I look very different in my LinkedIn photo than I do here.
That's a good place to start.
That was sarcasm. Again, for those who don't know my sense of humor, I always look like this, always.
Awesome. But that closes out. This is the final session of the year, guys. We'll have another one probably starting mid-January. Please send us your questions that you may have or talking points that you want us to cover for our upcoming sessions for the next year. So we'll talk about them. You'll start to see MarKesisha and Gladys on more of these moving forward as well. So if you have any questions for anyone here, just feel free to ping us. As long as you're negative, we should respond back pretty quickly. That's all I'll tell you.
Yeah, you can pretty much get to any of us, just know that it takes patience, please. It takes, especially with me, please just be patient with me. I get so many connection requests and I'm drowning right now. I'm literally drowning. So I'm like, I cannot go through all these connection requests at once. So if you send me a connection request, please be patient. I will get to you. The best way is to get into my comments. If you really want to get my attention, if you're in my comments, I will notice you. But if you're waiting for me to accept, I probably have connection requests from like a month ago. Oh my God, that's too bad. I used to do it with, I don't know how you guys do it, but I used to accept my connection requests like once a week in the past. But now it's like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to say the number, but it's crazy. I feel bad for myself because that's not how it should be. When people try to connect to you because they want to talk to you, but if you don't have time to respond to them, it's kind of weird. That's why I'm just asking for that patience. But if you get into my comments, I would definitely notice you. How do you guys do it, though? I'm curious. How do you guys deal with your connection requests? Too much.
So I'm going to bump my own. I sent you a connection request while we were on the stream.
Deal.
Yeah, now, Gladys, you don't need to take a day or so. You have to do it right now.
At least for Paul, yeah, I would do it
exactly.
Everyone heard it. Everyone heard it. So there's no excuse. You didn't see it.
No, but I tend to. I really try to stay on top of it. If a connection request comes up, I check somebody out within a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, and I accept them. I think at a certain point you do hit a wall. So Gladys, I think eventually, what is it like? Well, actually, I don't know the number, but eventually you can't accept people as connection requests. Sometimes it is better to just follow people. you know,
Oh, 30,000. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
30,000.
max
Yeah,
30,000. Yeah, I think if I accept everyone, I'm going to reach that pretty quick. So right now, at least I'm not doing that. I'm looking at each and everyone's profile. So to me, it's more like if your profile is not speaking cybersecurity to me, like you don't have to be in my network. Honestly, you can follow me,
Mhm.
but I'm connecting with people that I want to connect with, which is cybersecurity professionals. So if your profile is not cybersecurity, like, you got to fix that. That's the best way. It's the same with recruiters. If you, for example, your headline is the best part that people are looking at. If your headline is not talking anything about cybersecurity, it's something about marketing or data engineering, something like people are not really going to care about you. Yeah. That's
Well,
what
they
it is.
care about you. I care about everybody.
Maybe
People
I used the wrong word, but I do care.
I
But
know you-
like, it's not gonna be that like that. And when I'm speaking, I'm just thinking about where I was before. That's
Mhm.
usually how I speak because I was there before. I
Yeah.
wanted people to connect with me. I tried to connect, but I didn't have a good profile too. My
Mhm.
LinkedIn was not what someone should connect with. And that's why I encourage people, your LinkedIn is your best selling tool. People are not using LinkedIn enough like they should for job hunting, unfortunately. Like 10 years ago, let's say 2015, LinkedIn was just a job site. You could go and find jobs on LinkedIn. But right now, that's not what it is. It's more about selling yourself. You can literally use your profile and get a job. So if you have a good profile, hey, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to tie that back to something that Kenneth mentioned. I think it was Kenneth mentioned earlier that, you've got to go where the jobs are. And if you're in Kansas and you want a good job, you need to move where they are. Once you get to a point where you're established and you have a brand and you've moved up, you can always move back to Kansas. And to the point, and tying this back to what Gladys just said, on LinkedIn, yes, absolutely. You want your profile to read like a cybersecurity professional. Now, you can probably guess where I'm leading into this. Mine is a little different out there. It certainly mentions my experience in security and data engineering and tech leadership and whatnot. But that's because I've established myself within communities to a point where I can brand myself like this. And at my stage of my career, the way I brand myself, I think works more for me than having a cookie cutter, for lack of a better word, cybersecurity. But when you're trying to break into it, to Gladys' point, you want people to know you're serious. You want it to read like a cybersecurity professional. Otherwise, people are going to see that you have few connections, see that you have no experience, and be like, who the hell is this person?
Yeah. So keep that in mind, guys, for these nuggets of wisdom for how you guys are going to brand and market yourself moving forward. But again, that closes out this session. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out towards us. Otherwise, we will see you in 2026. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.